Thursday, January 8th, 2015 meeting of Grand Blanc Township. And now if you'd rise for a pledge of allegiance. Camp.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, we could bow heads for a moment, the silence, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now, I would ask for approval of the agenda. Mr. Dusank, you had something that you would add to the agenda.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Yes, I'd like to add, every year at this time we have tax bills, and we usually extend it into the end of March. So I'd like to add that, to extend the date from February 16th, 2015 to February 28th, 2015. So that would give residents a little bit more time, so we wouldn't have to pay by the 16th.
You are making the motion to approve the agenda with that.
With that,
amendment.
yeah. Yes,
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Is there someone here from the Historic Commission tonight? Okay, in that case, we will pass. Next on the agenda is public comment. And is there anyone here who wishes to make public comment? In that case, we come to the very special part of tonight's meeting, and that is the swearing of, first thing is the swearing of our new fire chief, Dave Sabella, and Chris, will you do the honors?
All righty. Got my book of oaths right over here.
Okay.
We're excited about this, but I'm going to have you face the camera and I'll come over there so you can be on TV. Actually, I don't need the whole book, I just need this thing that you can sign here. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the Office of Fire Chief in and for the community of Grand Blanc, County of Genesee, and State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
Great.
You have some of your family here tonight, so I'd like you to introduce them to everybody.
Yeah, I have my two uncles, Barry and Schumer, Chuck and Barry. Zoe is his girlfriend. Denny Hughes from Belfour. I've worked with Denny over at Farmington Hills for many years. And then, of course, a very special girlfriend of mine is Robin. And all the guys have been absolutely wonderful. Really appreciate everything. And, it really means a lot to me. So thank you very much.
And we are all very excited to have you here. We really are. I need you to come and swear the oath book.
Don't read the fine print first. Just
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We're very happy to have you with us.
And don't feel you have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Guys, thank you so much.
I'd like to thank the people from
Well, I went to dinner because I figured I needed some I spilled wings all over.
Chief,
Yeah.
I would like you to extend thank you for Father Dad for his service and to meet him in term, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say something before you. Okay, thank you.
Do you want to do that another time?
No, just if you'll give him a message, please.
I absolutely will.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now I have another special honor, and that's to recognize Gary Branch. Would you come forward, please? Yeah, thank you. Gary has been with us for many years on many different services throughout the community, and so we would like to show our respect and appreciation to you for your many years of faithful service, not only to the McFarland Library Board, but to the Grand Blanc Parks and Recreation Board, the Old Newsboys, and all the things you do in the community. Thank you.
Good luck.
Craig, would you stand up? Craig is going to be our new representative on the library board, and I wanted everybody to meet him tonight. He's going to be taking Gary's place. Very good. He comes with high recommendations, so we're looking forward. That's okay.
Congratulations, we're looking forward to working.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
We have some new construction going on.
That's right. Yeah. So he's a person, he works at Magnus, so I'm looking forward to seeing him overlook
places.
some of the construction.
I've heard about the good, progress going on over there. I'm excited to get started.
Great, very good. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And it looks like Carmen Buchanan isn't here tonight, but we do have a special commendation for her. She's worked for us as a deputy, as a dispatcher for 30 years, and so we're sad to see her go, but she decided to retire at this time.
30 years, that's great.
Yeah. So we will get this to Tammy as soon as possible.
Is the new appointee named Dan or Craig?
Craig Withers.
Craig Wood.
Okay.
Did I say that?
No, but I thought when he introduced himself to me, he said Dan, but.
Oh, okay.
No.
All in
Now
all,
we're going to be working with
all of it, everything I have is Craig.
Okay, last election. Okay.
the Republican for county commissioner. He's been pretty active in the party prior to that.
Okay, and now we'll go down on to regular business, the approval of the minutes of December 9th and December 11th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve them together.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Going on to the treasurer's report, Mr. Grisette?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to present the monthly bills. The general total is $879,397.69. The DPW fund is $1,115,947.03 for a grand total of $1,995,344.72. Move approval as presented, Madam Chair.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Clark. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. We will consider the adoption of the second reading of the sewer system capital P and usage charges ordinance. The proposed increase is $11.34 to $12.24 per REU, a 90-cent increase. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to consider the adoption, second reading.
I'll support.
Okay, thank you.
That's a roll
Roll
call.
call.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Guzik?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Reardon?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair, just have a question. Did we vote officially on that amendment to do the tax extension, or do we have to put it in?
We have to put it in at the end of new business.
Oh, at the end of new business? Okay, that's fine.
I wrote it in as item H.
Right.
Oh, okay,
Is that gonna work?
I just didn't want to miss it, because...
No, okay, thank you. And next, we will consider the adoption of the second reading of the water system capital P and usage charges ordinance. The proposed increase is $10.50 to $11 per meter, a 50-cent increase. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Support.
second?
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Guzik?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Reardon?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Okay.
The next one is to consider a request from a successor developer of Trillium for an amendment to the Trillium PUD agreement regarding signs.
Madam Chair, I can maybe give you a little bit of, maybe frame the issue a bit. You recall that on Tuesday, we had a presentation by the applicants, and then we also heard from our planners with clear zoning. We had quite a bit of debate and discussion on the item, and I don't see anybody here tonight on behalf of the applicant, but their request was to amend the PUD section specifically as it related to the signs. And if you agree to that amendment, you can move affirmatively and approve their application. If you don't agree with it, or if you want to deny it, then you can deny the request to amend the PUD, or you can modify it as well. The one thing, though, that we had a discussion about was that, and this was brought up by the applicant's representative, is that it may be, given the economics of the time, that they might need to amend the concept of the PUD because they're having trouble, or they're feeling that they want to get some exposure on the Holly Road side of it, as opposed to what it was originally conceptually planned to be. And so we discussed a little bit on Tuesday that if that were the case, and that's what's causing their proposed amendment, maybe we want to refer them back to the Planning Commission for a review of the concept. And maybe there's some sort of holistic change that we need to consider, as opposed to just a piecemeal request for various signs. And so however you act tonight, I think that might still be a good idea to refer them back to the Planning Commission for some additional consideration.
So we would make if we do wish to do that, we would make a motion to deny the.
Correct. Yeah, their request is,
And send it to the planning.
well, no, you wouldn't.
Or we can concept, do you want both things or just single?
Just one thing, and the only thing before you is whether or not you agree to amend the PUD agreement as submitted.
Okay.
Could we table it and at the same time table it and then
refer back to the planning?
Well, you could do that potentially, but you don't have to do that. They're not going to be precluded from coming back with a different, they could bring the same plan back or some substantially different plan. And so if you act on it tonight, it's not going to close out any opportunity for them. The other thing, though, is that I'm not necessarily sure you want to refer this back to the planning commission on your end of the table. I think that it has to be something that they want to agree to as well. And so I suggest you just act on the request tonight with maybe a caveat, depending on what you decide that they perhaps had the planning commission for additional consideration.
As a member of the planning commission?
Yeah, I agree with our attorney's assessment of our discussion the other night, and you know, it was brought up that they believe it's becoming kind of a hodgepodge of buildings, which I don't want to have happen. I don't want a hodgepodge of signs and what have you. I'd rather not do a piecemeal. And if their consideration is to re-examine the PUD, and I'd like them to come forward and tell us what the new plan is for the PUD and how signage is going to fit into that, so we don't end up with a hodgepodge, as they call it.
My comments were going to be very similar, and I'll be glad to make a motion to deny this, is that it seems to me most PUDs, they have a concept, they have a vision, and they build to that vision. And this development has turned into a, well, when you bring me a plan for your business, I'll figure out a way to make it work. And I don't like the way it's going at all. And I'd rather deny this request entirely and let them start it from scratch. If they want to present a new concept for their PUD, I'll be glad to do that. But I don't want to do it partial by partial by partial, building by building. It's not.
Are you making that motion then?
So I will make a motion that we deny the request for the accessory, from successor developer of Trillium, the amendment of the Trillium PUD.
Is there a second?
I'll support that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And we will, Scott, you will convey to the planning commission that they may be coming back to them?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I will do that.
Now we will consider the first reading of an ordinance to adopt the latest amendments to the National Building Code.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support that.
Okay, and again, it's an ordinance.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Dr. Reardon?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Guzik?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes,
And myself, yes.
thank you. Now we have the consideration of, by myself, to allocate funds to the 215 supervisor's budget for the hiring of a temporary part-time employee not to exceed 29 hours per week.
So moved. Support.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I just want to mention that we're actually saving township money by having our supervisor fill in for our township manager. And anybody that thinks that we're spending too much doing that, I think is misguided in their appraisal of the situation, because, you know, we added a little bit to Ms. Hoffman's pay, but nowhere near comes near what we were paying our manager. So to add an additional staff person goes to also saving money overall.
Versus hiring an interim superintendent or
Exactly.
manager to run this at a substantially higher cost.
I would like to point out that we, by your increase, we're still saving 4/5 of that money, which is significant, and we'll save that until we get a new manager.
Thank you very much.
Do you want this to be a roll call?
Well, I think Mr. Guzak has
I'll just take one other question. I thought, I know we were going to limit to 29 hours, but I thought we had a limit on the hourly wage as well as the length of time.
Remember?
6 months, what my motion was at Tuesday night.
So my suggestion was up to 15
For a
hours.
period up to $15 or not to exceed at the manager's discretion based on the qualifications of the applicant, and for a term not to exceed 6 months.
That'll be in my motion if the supporter accepts.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. We consider a proposal by Clear Zoning Incorporated to provide consultation services to the Planning and Zoning Department. Mr.
You missed that.
We had the new,
You missed that.
You missed that.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, the consideration of the elimination of the fourth Tuesday of the month board meeting.
I'll make that motion. Is there discussion still, or?
Well, after a second.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Okay. Now it's open for discussion.
I'm wholeheartedly in favor of eliminating that meeting, so we can always add one in, and it doesn't even have to be on the fourth Tuesday. If there's an emergency meeting, we can add it in at any time, but that's really all I want to say.
Madam Chair, I'd like to just comment that I served on the board from 1988 to 2000 in a time when communication devices such as our emails and telephones and the text messages wasn't available to us. We found out what we were going to do as township businesses at our meetings. I mean, that's where we deliberated, that's where we weren't able to, there was only a day or two in between the Tuesday, I mean, there is 2 days between the Tuesday and the Thursday meeting. And that's when our information discoveries were conducted. With the email process, our information sharing to this board is just so, it's so dynamic and so much, you know, we get so much more of it that we're able to make decisions and think about things and research things on an almost daily basis. So we used to have a fourth Thursday and Tuesday meeting. I don't know if the folks can remember that. That was eliminated the fourth Thursday sometime while I was off for the 10 years I was gone. So I'm thinking the same thing happens here. I got a feeling a lot of times, this is just my personal feeling, that we almost tried to find items to be on the agenda so we had a full agenda for that work. That's how I felt sometimes. We do get deadlines sometimes for contracts and labor agreement and things that require an emergency meeting that might be better suited if we treated that as a meeting that was available to be called for a deadline purpose. But I think there'll be many months that we wouldn't even have that special meeting. That's what I want to say.
I kind of looked back at the last year, roughly the last year of meetings that what happened on the fourth Tuesday. And 5 of the times it was that policy governance, I always forget the name of that. And that took up most of those meetings. One time out of the year, we really had genuinely several issues. The other times it was mostly executive sessions over labor issues, which our labor issues are almost over for 3 years. So I'm good without having it also, but.
This is my 6th year on the board, and I'm going to somewhat agree that the fourth Tuesday meeting is not always necessary, but I would rather approach it differently. I'd rather keep the meeting scheduled and then cancel them based on the lack of an agenda if need be. The reason I think that meeting is important is it goes back not too long ago, even with as early as Mr. Edwards' terms as superintendent. A lot of township business would come up with him or with the police chief, for example, that needed a decision but couldn't necessarily wait till next month's board meeting. And that's the kind of stuff we get done on that. Now granted that it's not every month and definitely not needed every month. I would rather keep the meeting. I kind of schedule my vacations and other appointments and things that I do outside of the township around those meeting dates. And if it's canceled, great, I got the night off. But
Can I ask a question for that, like a follow-up? How would that look in practice? Like, all of a sudden, people would email each other and say there's nothing to put on the agenda this week, or how do you envision that?
we would have to post it by public notice.
We got 18 hours.
Yeah, we'd have to just post it and, through
I
various
understand
things.
that part, but how's it determined that we don't need that meeting?
Well, I'll let you comment in a minute. I would say that through the supervisor or the superintendent, if that's what we want to do, we could just have, okay, none of the department heads have any pressing business, not going on. It's Thursday, let's cancel Tuesday's meeting,
Right.
okay? But, you know, that would be up to the day-to-day management in the township here to determine.
So you would know by Tuesday?
No, I know by Thursday of this week, if the fourth Tuesday, not this week, excuse me, the Thursday before.
Right, so if we were gonna cancel the end of this month's meeting, we would cancel tonight's
Cancel,
meeting.
right.
And you would leave it up to the supervisor to decide, or
Well,
superintendent?
Well, between us, okay, I think we could decide, okay, do we have any action items?
Okay.
For example, and I'm almost done here, I'm gonna start. The chief of police or the fire chief may have something that needs, we've got
Immediate action.
immediate
Right.
action. And they're gonna go to the superintendent or the supervisor and say, hey, we gotta get this resolved, I've got this deadline. You would alert them, okay, we gotta have this meeting and schedule it. Otherwise, you would just cancel the meeting. But again, like I said, my wife has already got my entire summer vacations planned out for me through the end of August, based on the township, the fire commission, the parks and rec commission meeting schedules.
Okay.
Scott?
Earl had his hand up before me. so-
Yeah, I've been here for over 6 years myself, and in the past, there was only two when we received, when we came into office, and we noted that we needed that third meeting, and we used it a lot, and we have used it. The last time we had these governance meetings, they canceled everything on that and pushed it to the next meetings because they wanted to go through the governance meetings. My opinion is that we need that third one to protect the township, so at any time we have to have something approved by the board, you don't have to post it 18 hours in advance, try to get 7 people to hit to position time in the future. People are gonna be out of town, they're gonna be on vacation, and we might not get a quorum. And for the safety of the township, I believe we should, like Mr. Larry was mentioning, that we should keep it there and at the last minute decide if we're gonna cancel it, because to me, I think it's necessary, and I think there's a lot of things that can be done, and we need to keep it open.
Okay. Scott?
Got a couple of questions first, and then a couple of comments, but how long, let's say that we're going to schedule a meeting, how much notice do we have to give to schedule a meeting? 18 hours?
18
Same
hours.
with canceling it, is 18 hours?
No, there's no, we could do it the day of, as
Right,
far as
you could,
canceling,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if there's any requirement there. One of the things, you know, in serving on boards, you know, a friend of mine told me one time, the reason why they have minutes is because people don't remember from one meeting to the next what they talked about, you know, which I don't think that's the case here necessarily, but by having another meeting in the month, it refreshes and get an update on where we're at, which could be done electronically as well. One of the things that I really would like to see us do, you know, whether it's policy governance or what have you, is to use a meeting where we look forward to what is it that we want to accomplish
Strategic planning
with this,
kind of thing.
with this township. I mean, we're real good at managing what's happening and what's before us. But I'd like to take a look forward and say, you know, where do we want to be as a township? I mean, all of us talk to people that live here and they, hey, you know, we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, what can the township, I know we're not in the business of trying to solve everybody's problems, but on the other hand, are there things that we can be doing proactively or that we can be talking to department heads on? Hey, how do we get to this place to get this accomplished? And bringing them in. And maybe, you know, we talked about in our policy governance, putting together a calendar of every month we're going to take a look at a different area and try and figure out what is it we want to achieve for our taxpayers when it comes to this service or that service. And so I really, maybe there isn't a whole lot on the agenda for that meeting, and maybe it's more of a planning session and maybe looking out forward as to what it is we want. If we don't want to do that, we can always cancel it. Like this month here, I would guess we're probably going to cancel it because the MTA meeting is is starting on that day. But so I would like to consider having that meeting when possible to look at where are we going, you know, instead of just managing what's on our plate, you know, the immediate needs.
Madam Chair, based on what I've heard, board members have changed my opinion on the necessity or the value of that meeting. So I will be voting no on this motion. Just
And-
wanted the other board members to know.
I'd like to say this. I agree with this, and I think that with Scott, and I think if we could have department heads come in on that sometimes for that, so they can talk to us without it always being a rush in, and this is what I need, and this is why I need this money, so that everybody can get to know the other people who are helping us run this township. I think that there's value in that.
We have,
I concur with that. I think we as a board need to invite the department head. We shouldn't expect an
Exactly,
So,
exactly. I think that-
Coming up in February, we'd like to have Chief Stam come, and then we maybe, our new fire chief, and the DPW, yeah, absolutely.
And have an agenda surrounding, if we're having our chief of police come in, what is our agenda going to look like for that meeting with the chief?
Where we at with this
Questions?
project, that project,
You know,
what can you do about this?
What do we want to achieve with the police department? If it's the body cameras, or, what have we found out about those kind of.
well, that is one thing that came up, okay?
Right.
These things come up in staff meeting, and both the fire chief and the, and DPW have so many things that they want to set up as new department heads, and, and with finance, and they all have new ideas, and it's very refreshing to look forward to what they plan to do, so.
And I've talked to several who really would like to, talk to the board, because they don't always want to make it look like they're just coming in to ask for
Yes,
stuff.
we-
They want to tell
Yeah.
you what they're doing. So I think that would be valuable if we could work that in somehow.
Absolutely.
So now we're gonna vote, right? Is this roll call?
Yes.
Let's start with Mr.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
No, this is.
Just voice vote?
Just voice vote.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
okay.
So just to clarify for me, how was the motion made? The motion was made to consider the elimination of the fourth Tuesday board
Yes,
meeting, so
correct.
that's,
That's correct.
okay.
So if you want to keep the meeting, you're going to vote no.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
The ayes have it.
Like Mr. Laddie told me the other day, these meetings are for deliberation, and sometimes you can change your mind. So I am changing my mind.
Okay.
Swayed by Mr. Bennett. What's
Yeah.
That's why there's seven of us,
I'm
for seven
not-
opinions
I'm not
and
in favor of
viewpoints.
having
Yeah, right,
meetings.
exactly.
I'm not in favor of having meetings to have meetings.
Yes.
No.
And if it looks like, we don't have an agenda and we don't have anything, then let's, contact our superintendent, supervisor, and say, let's skip this meeting and get a consensus, but.
While you're on the subject, do you, the MTA begins at the end of this,
Yes,
is this month?
exactly.
Do we want to,
Motion
Yes.
to
wanna
delete
move
that
to-
meeting.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to cancel this meeting.
sorry?
I'm going to go into that meeting.
Scott and
And,
Nikki, you make the motion to take it out, and I'll support. Is that what your
I'm not
motion
going to be
is?
here, if you guys want to meet.
Here, I'll be the bad guy. I move
I would-
motion that we
if you
cancel the
guys wanna
fourth
meet, I'm
Tuesday
not
meeting
opposed
for the
to
month
it.
of January 2015.
thank
Who
you.
supported you?
Clark.
Clark, how come Larry, just out of curiosity, how
Yes.
come that makes you the bad guy?
Nobody else wanted it. I don't know.
Scott was.
I just figured if you guys want to meet, I'm not opposed to you guys meeting with
Yeah,
others.
that's true. He won't be-
Just my sarcasm.
Would we want to wait just to make sure if there's something pops up that has to be voted on, because you'd still have enough votes to pass, but.
Does anybody anticipate anything that?
No, I don't see anything.
Based on our agenda tonight, I'm going to take this month. I don't want to keep the February one scheduled.
And so now we move on to.
Oh, I have to vote on that.
Yeah, did you, I don't know if you voted on it.
I thought we did, okay, I'm sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Plus, the way it's going, we'll all be home shopping our driveways anyway.
Right.
Yeah, we could.
Okay. I thought it was,
Yeah, you gotta go to G.
yeah, that's what I'm going to,
Okay.
yeah. Consider a proposal by Clear Zoning Incorporated to provide a consulting services to the planning and zoning department.
So moved.
Do we need to give the details on the
This,
agenda?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, if you get a second, I'll explain to
I'll
you.
second.
We heard from Clear Zoning, and we gave them some feedback as to what we thought might be a good starting point for their spending, for them having personnel in our building for a period up to 6.5 hours every other week. And in addition, we talked about the idea that there would probably be some demand on their services by telephone or by email, that they'll also be billing at an hourly rate of $88 an hour. And what they have done is amended their proposal, and they've carved out 14 hours a month, where they'll have somebody in-house here for an average of 6.5 hours every 2 weeks. And then I think they've got like an additional half hour built in there. And then also that they're going to bill any additional services that are done remotely, again by telephone or by computer, at $88 an hour. So they've amended their proposal to what we asked them to do. And they've also, if you recall, they said that if it needs to be amended either up or down, they're agreeable to it.
Okay.
I just had one clarification. It's $88 an hour, because I knew it was 95, and I thought they went down to 80, but maybe
No,
was it?
I think they came in, they compromised at 88. They have
Oh,
a-
okay, they did change it.
Yeah. Yeah, let me double check that though.
That's what I knew also.
Yeah, at 88, the professional consulting at $88 an hour, discounted from their blended $96 an hour rate. So 88 is the figure they picked.
That, to me, that is such a good deal for us to have them, instead of having to hire a planner.
It's going to take it's going to take some concerted effort by Maria in planning and zoning, but I think that so far she seems to be agreeable to it. So hopefully it'll work out.
Who made that motion, Larry or Clark? Larry, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and second?
Yeah, we have a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have Mr. Kuzak's H.
Yes, thank you. Motion to extend the tax date deadline from February 16, 2015 until February 28, 2015. Is what we-
Okay,
Okay.
we have a second?
Who was the first person that said it?
It was my
Earl, you
motion.
didn't finish.
My motion,
Okay.
and then
Okay, Earl and Scott. Okay.
Scott seconded it.
Okay,
I voted for you, though.
all right.
I heard.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I have one question. Did you hear from, I did not hear from Rick on the IAF contract, the two things.
No, I didn't know. I didn't hear anything from him either. I didn't really expect him to get back to us by today, though.
Oh, I thought it was.
But he didn't, whether we expected it or not.
He didn't make it clear that we'd hear from him today. He was told us to hear back with us.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was today either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I back up a little bit to Earl's
Mhm.
tax thing? Is there a reason, Earl, that we have to wait this long to do that? Would it be possible to make that same motion like in December, so people wouldn't be worried about?
No, I'd rather keep it this way. It's been done this way in the past, because that way, the normal tax date is supposed to be the 16th or the 15th. It depends on the Monday when it occurs. It's been from the 14th through the 16th.
Okay.
And then the board has always had at their pleasure, the right to extend that, okay? We don't have to, but we always have, and I think it's a good idea to extend it, but I'd like to continue in the same fashion that we have.
Okay, I just wondered why not give them a little heads up. But,
Well, I thought you were asking if you could do the same thing with the December.
no, I was just thinking, instead of telling them at,
Yeah.
mid-January, if you could tell them in December,
Oh,
hey, this is gonna happen, in case you
oh,
don't have a lot of money.
well, we've always done, yeah.
Okay.
December.
Well, we're doing it a little bit earlier, because before we didn't do it to like the last, either the first meeting in February or the last meeting in January, but I thought it's better to do it at least in the first part of January, to give them almost over a month to think about it, because, like you said, there is cash considerations for a lot of cash flow for folks, and sometimes it is better at the end of the month and instead of the middle of the month. So at the 15th, that could be a crunch for people, where at the end of the month, it's not a problem. And that's why we're doing this for
Okay,
them.
I just wondered about that.
Okay. I'm sorry I've been swamped, I do not have a report.
I won't clap.
Been busy?
I've got a question. Mickey, is there anything we can do to help you with?
Actually, the people, I'm trying to reply to all of the emails in time, but everybody, including the members of the board, have been very, very helpful, as well as all the department. Our staff has been great, so
Okay.
I am staying on top of things, but it just is a lot of things.
Right.
Okay, Larry, did you have anything on either the fire commission or
Well, nothing from Parks and Rec yet. Fire Commission, I know I mentioned in your previous report that we had a balanced budget for 2015. I don't know if I went into much detail on that. In 2014, we spent a lot more money on vehicle repair and maintenance than we anticipated, so we made some adjustments there. Other post-employment benefits accounts was increased. We were able to have a balanced 2015 budget covering all of our projected costs. Being conservative on the revenue, we end up with a final surplus for the general fund of $2,840 and a final surplus for the internal fund of $1,510. Again, that's Mr. Heiser's conservative estimate on the revenue. We actually hope that the numbers will be higher than that. But just to let this board know, we've got all of our foreseen costs covered. We do have some rather expensive building projects that have kind of come up in the future that we're going to be looking for other grants or funding mechanisms to try to put some of that off too. So we're not as cash fit as we'd like to be, but we're off to a good start and we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, I don't know, but in regard to Parks and Recreation, Kay Edson is going to be commended in the first part of February as being the top Parks and Recreation director in the state.
Wow.
And really an outstanding honor, and so we'll do more about it when she gets it, but we're really blessed to have somebody like that. So it's really an outstanding honor. Okay, Scott, planning.
We didn't have any meetings this past month, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay, good. Clark, BZA?
Board of Zoning Appeals had a special meeting in December, a couple of items. One was parking, Jordan Highway and Grand Blanc Road, and then we had a retaining fence or a wall,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, out in the front of the condo development over on Grand Blanc Road. Next meeting will be the first Tuesday in February.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end. Dave, anything special?
No, I don't have anything to add.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Okay, Clark has a second. Thank you very much,
Nothing
everyone.
kind of that.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Oh, I know, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?